Well, hi everyone. In this video, I'm not going to show you in depth what I've done. I'm just going to show you a whole heap of bits and pieces of, I've done this, I've done that. So stick around and you can check out what I've done. This is my buddy Scotty, and he's been helping me do the car today. And without his help, I wouldn't have got any of this done. So thank you very much, Scott.
No worries, Rob. Any day.
Previously on Garage Days, we'd made a makeshift tail shaft.
Well, with a tail shaft in here, it's full steam ahead on an X-member. And what an X-member will do, that'll stop the chassis from twisting and carrying on when you're driving on down the road. So another thing we're doing today is cutting out the old gearbox cross member. There goes off the other side too. He's loving my hoist. Here's the X-member. I reckon that looks really cool. Just got to put it in the car now. Well, what we've got to do now is get this X-member up into the chassis here and get it all welded in. So after a day's worth of work and a whole heap of welding, this is what we've got going on underneath the car. It's not completely welded in just at the moment, as you can see here, but it's in and it ain't coming out in a hurry. My buddy Scotty's done some really neat tigging up through here, over here, through here, and up here. So what I've got to do now is make another gearbox mount to go here, and a tail shaft loop to come off here through to the other side here. What I'm going to do as well is put a plate up on top here. Quite a large one from, it's hard to show you, but somewhere here to over there and over to there and back along here. That'll be a pretty hefty plate and that'll stiffen up this whole X-member. But I'm really impressed today of what we've accomplished. I just think that looks great. Well, after putting this X-member in, it's time to put a plate on the top. And I've got a 6mm plate there to stiffen it all up. And I've also got a plate up the back here, and that's going to be for the seatbelt stalk mounts. So now I've put the truck back on the hoist again, and I'm making a cross member to hold up the gearbox. Well, now I've got this gearbox member done. It's going to go like this. And I know I said I wasn't going to go into too much detail in this video, but my theory with this is if I want to drop the box down a little bit to get a different angle on the engine, or like this at the front, I can put some spacers in here. And if I want to lift the gearbox up, I can just put some shims under this mount here, between the member and the rubber. There's plenty of thread on it, so I can do that if I want. Now this is all measured up and it should be right, but there's always room for a little bit of adjustment if necessary down the track. Well, then I got carried away and I made up 3 tail shaft loops, but I like them and they're going to stay. Well, after making that gearbox cross member, I decided I didn't like it, and I came up with this one. I also changed that gearbox mount as well. The photo doesn't show it all welded up completely, but I did weld it up. Unfortunately, I don't have a photograph. Well, the next thing to do is make this handbrake work. I've got a bit of high tensile 8.8 M8 threaded rod there. I've just made a little piece here that's going to slip into here to strengthen that up. Well, there's the handbrake assembly that sits under the floor. The handbrake working. You can see how it'll just pull that rod and pull the cable through the equalizer here. So today me and Scotty went off to the wreckers and We've got a handbrake cable there, or an emergency brake cable. We've made some adapter plates here for the shocks, and up the top there. We've got both sides done. We've got so much done today. It's looking really, really good under here. All I've got to do now is finish making this handbrake system, and it's going to come through the floor here. I've got to drill a hole right here and right through to the other side. I can't really show you. I'll put a tube in through there, and that adjuster I've made is going to sit around about here. With these cables that'll run up to here like so, I've got to cut these cables up and get them remade with the right ends on them, or as one piece, so it goes from one side all the way around to the other side. I guess that's going to be the next thing I do. But man, having these rear shocks on, that's just awesome. So now I'm working on the top plates where the bolts go through for the seat belts. I've even got the bottom seat belt mount in. There's the other side done as well. And before I weld this floor in, I've ground down all of this steel, painted up under here, because I won't be able to get to that later once all the floor's in. Yeah, all this steel has been ground back down to bare metal. Well, enough of it anyway, or at least where the plug welds are going to go. I welded up this brace here to the X member. I've done a little bit more welding over here. And once this is all welded in and the body's off, we can finish off that X member too.
Next week, on Garage Days, Robert realises the floor, it doesn't fit.
So I've made a little bit of a boo-boo with the brake pedal. The brake pedal seems to be hitting here when I put it all the way down to the floor. It's only hitting it by a little bit, but what I'm going to do is cut a big square out of here, flatten this piece, and re-weld it back in. There'll obviously be some side bits here, a side section that'll go in here as well. Wish me luck.